Hello. This week's Torah portion, Kedoshim, enjoins us not to lie to one another. I would like to discuss this teaching in the context of freedom of speech, a key pillar of the free worlds. First, let us compare the understandings of freedom of speech in American law and Jewish law. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution states, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech. Note that it takes freedom of speech for granted. It simply tells Congress not to reduce it. In 1993, Supreme Court Justice Stevens noted that the word "the" in the phrase "the freedom of speech" means that it is not a new right, but a reaffirmation of a previously understood right. Nevertheless, there must be limitations. A healthy society must prohibit some forms of speech. In the US, the following speech is prohibited: incitement to violence or to illegal actions, terrorist threats, defamation or libel, which is publicly released information that is false and defamatory, and if a public person is the victim, done with malice. Public obscenity, as defined by community standards. As Justice Potter famously said in 1964 when asked to define obscenity, I know it when I see it. False testimony in court or perjury, false advertising, disclosing classified information, trade secrets, or other privileged information, false alarmist information, or as Justice Holmes famously said in 1919, falsely shouting fire in a theater and causing a panic, and other restrictions. Individual states have further restrictions. However, unlike many European states, such as France, the US allows the following: incitement to hatred and to discrimination, slander and racial insults, racist, anti-Semitic, or xenophobic activities, including Holocaust denial, hate speech against people because of their sex, sexual orientation, or disability, presentation of illegal drugs in a positive light and incitement to their consumption, and insults to the national flag or anthem. US courts allow flag burning or wearing clothes with anti-government slogans. The US allows this freedom because it is not abused. In general, the more freedom of speech is abused, the more it will be restricted. In 1945, Karl Popper, a Jewish philosopher of science, introduced the paradox of tolerance. It states that if a society is tolerant without limits, its tolerance will be destroyed by the intolerance. Unlimited intolerance leads to no tolerance. For a society to remain tolerant, it must be intolerance of intolerance. He writes, quote, less well known is the paradox of tolerance. Unlimited tolerance must lead to the disappearance of tolerance. If we extend unlimited tolerance even to those who are intolerant, if we are not prepared to defend a tolerant society against the onslaught of the intolerant, then the tolerant will be destroyed and tolerance with them. In this formulation, I do not imply, for instance, that we should always suppress the utterance of intolerant philosophies. As long as we can counter them by rational argument and keep them in check by public opinion, suppression would certainly be unwise. But we should claim the right to suppress them, if necessary, even by force, for it may easily turn out that they are not prepared to meet us on the level of rational argument, but begin by denouncing all arguments. They may forbid their followers to listen to rational argument because it is deceptive, and teach them to answer argument by the use of their fists or pistols. We should therefore claim, in the name of tolerance, the right not to tolerate the intolerance. End of quote. So, giving unlimited free speech to the intolerant is a mistake. If abuse of free speech becomes a serious problem, as in Europe, it must be reined in. It's a subjective matter. Judaism does not have as clear a statement on freedom of speech, so we must examine the issues one by one. On the one hand, the Talmud itself testifies to such freedoms within broad bounds. It includes vigorous and feisty discussions, followed by minority opinions, followed by the majority opinion, which is usually the decision. Opposing viewpoints are welcome. As we often hear, two Jews will produce three opinions. The Talmud says, quote, Ben Zoma used to say, who is wise? He who learns from everyone. When Resh Lakish died, Rabbi Elazar ben Pedat went and sat before Rabbi Yochanan to console him. For every statement that Rabbi Yochanan made, Rabbi Elazar ben Pedat would say, good point, there is a teaching, a baraita, that supports you. Rabbi Yochanan said, when I said something, Resh Lakish challenged me with 24 objections, and I gave him 24 answers. And this led to a fuller understanding of the Torah. But you say there's a teaching that supports you. Don't I already know myself that my teaching is good? He went out and tore his clothes, cried and said, where are you, Resh Lakish? Where are you, Resh Lakish? Unquote. The Mishnah says that in trials for capital crimes, the most junior rabbis on the court have to speak first, so as not to be swayed or intimidated by the more senior rabbis. However, unlike American law, Jewish law prohibits many types of speech for ethical and religious reasons. Examples are blaspheming gods, pretending to be a prophet of God, speaking against the king, disrespecting a rabbi, or contradicting him in private or in public. Speaking ahead of someone who is wiser, cursing people, or teaching the opposite of a ruling of the Sanhedrin. On the latter, in the Talmud, when Rabbi Eliezer refused to accept the majority view, he was expelled from the Sanhedrin and shunned. By contrast, in the US, if a judge refuses to agree with the majority, there is no legal penalty, although he could be removed from the bench for not deciding impartially. The most reviled form of speech in the Jewish tradition is malicious gossip, or lashon hara, slander. The Mishnah says, quote, these are things for which some punishment is exacted in this world, while the principal punishment remains in the world to come. Idolatry, sexual immorality, and murder, the three cardinal sins of Judaism. And lashon hara, slander, is equal to all of them put together. Unquote. Nevertheless, one is allowed to badmouth another to prevent harm or financial loss or in court testimony. Also prohibited is being rude or insulting, called onad devarim, literally hurting people with words. The Talmud says, quote, when the Torah states do not wrong one another, it includes intentionally saying something that will hurt, frighten, or embarrass someone. Whoever does this has no share in the world to come. Unquote. This includes reminding someone of his previous sins after he repented, speaking negatively to a convert about his previous life, or telling someone that his troubles are caused by his sins. Also, lies are forbidden unless they are uttered to save a life, keep the peace, make people feel good, appear humble and modest, or protect oneself from loss or harm. Curiously, there is a form of speech permitted by Jewish law, but not by American law, disclosing trade secrets if done to save lives. The Talmud recounts this story. Quote, Rabbi Yochanan was sick with scurvy, and he went to a certain non-Jewish woman for treatment. She said, swear that you will not reveal the remedy. He said, I swear to the God of Israel, I will not reveal it. She then revealed it to him. The next day, he revealed it in his public lecture. A rabbi asked, but did he not swear to her? Another rabbi answered, he swore to the God of Israel, I will not reveal it, implying that I may reveal it to his people, Israel. The first rabbi rejoined, but is this not a profanation of the divine name? The second rabbi answered, no, because he stated that provision to her originally. Unquote. The rabbi's concern was Rabbi Yochanan's oath, not the fact that he revealed the trade secrets. To summarize, don't talk too much. In his book of Proverbs, King Solomon the Wise said, quote, in many words there is no lack of transgression, but the one who curbs his tongue shows sense. Unquote. The Mishnah adds, quote, Shimon says, all my days I grew up among the sages, and I did not find anything good for the body except silence. And whoever increases words brings sin. Unquote. On this, If a man speaks abundantly, he will surely transgress, because there will be among his words something that is not proper to say. Therefore, one of the signs of the wise is that they use few words, and one of the signs of the foolish is that they use a lot of words. The sages declare that using few words indicates great stature and good lineage. Unquote. Time to conclude. In American law, freedom of speech is about individual liberty, about allowing minority opinions to be heard, even if offensive, and about limiting the power of the state. Remember also that the law does not guarantee anyone will listen to what you say, understand it, or transmit it. In Jewish law, freedom of speech is all about ethical behavior and performing God's commandments. Shabbat Shalom.